Hello, everybody. This is Giancarlo once again. I hope everybody's doing great, having a fantastic day, and the Lord's doing super and amazing things in your life. So, what am I going to talk to you about today? Today, I'm going to talk to you about a slightly touchy subject for me because it puts me and my story out there. Up to now, I've spoken mostly about other topics, gospel messages in general that could apply to every one of us, including myself. But what about my personal story? Where did I come from? Where do I begin? What led me to this? Was it something catastrophic? Was it something that happened to me that Jesus freed me from? Well, let's go through it. Okay, so what is a story? Well, my story is a little unique, but I'm sure I'm not the only one out there. In fact, I'm hoping that there's a lot more that haven't had a story like mine. Uh, you've all heard about, you know, kids, that grow up on the streets that are, in drug-infested neighborhoods, and they, it's an unfortunate, pretty common story, right? Where, the kid gets into drugs, they think about selling drugs, and they start, they get caught, they go to juvie, and things of that nature, and then, they constantly running from the law, selling dope, heroin, crack, things like that, and grow up in these neighborhoods that, had that as an abundance. But I wasn't one of those. But there are kids who, grow up in areas with families that are filled with adultery, physical abuse, emotional abuse, abandonment, children being ignored, going for days without having seen their parents. And when they do see them, it's just one whooping after another, a beat down by a bat, leaving scars emotionally, physically, mentally. I'm sure you guys have heard of at least one person like that, but I wasn't one of those. However, you know, growing up in a family who was, you know, uh, completely poor, we had no food. We were walking barefoot everywhere, or just begging for food everywhere we went, trying to clean windshield wipers, just for a quarter, just so the family could survive. Uh, Living homeless, having parents that weren't providing, parents that weren't even around for anything like that. Uh, just in a constant state of struggle, starvation. Surely I went through something like that. But no, that wasn't me either. So you might be scratching your head right now wondering, well, Giancarlo, what did you go through? Because everybody came from somewhere before they came to Christ. Well, I'm here to tell you that I didn't really go, in the grand scheme of things, I didn't go through any of that. My family would joke, and I would joke around a little bit about me being the middle child, and I was probably the most ignored. But honestly, that's the worst of it. So now I'm sure you're really scratching your head like, well, what's a testimony? Well, my testimony is exactly that. I didn't go through any of those major life issues as a child growing up. But I can tell you why. I had a mother who was filled with nonstop prayer. Deep prayer on her knees, praying for every one of her kids and her family. I had a grandmother who did the same. I had aunts and uncles that did the same. I grew up in a church that was Bible believing, and they were total prayer warriors. To go through as a kid every week, yeah, I might have complained about it at the time. Like every Tuesday night from 7:30 to 9, or whatever the time was, it was just prayer night. So you're talking about a good 100 plus people that are sitting there in constant prayer every single week on their knees, prayer night after prayer night after prayer night, week to week. Services in the home, what are we doing? We're praying for the families, praying for the kids in the church, praying for each other. Constant amounts of prayer, as it was just our culture. I grew up with it. Now, I guess you could say, in a sense, I grew up in what I'm going to call a silver spoon, spiritually speaking. I didn't grow up rich. I grew up okay, but I wasn't rich by any, materially. Uh, I didn't really have that lack, but that was just it. I was so filled with people of prayer from the very beginning of my life, I think right before I was born, my mom started going to church, my family started going, and all of a sudden we just found ourselves in a church that was just constantly filled with prayer and filled with love. People that were fasting, people that were reading the Word of God. So basically, part of the system I was basically shielded from a lot of that growing up. So growing up, that's my testimony. Now let's fast forward into adulthood. I got married young, had 3 children, and I ended up in divorce. Now that is catastrophic in my mind. It seems to be pretty common to a lot of people these days. I don't know how many marriages these days fail. But what I can tell you is, here is my failure. What was done for me back then, I wasn't doing for my family. I was going to church. We were occasionally praying at the dinner table. I wasn't tithing. I would pray sometimes when I was tucking one of my kids at night. I told them I loved them. I told them I care for them. But yet, at the end, ended up in a divorce. Well, what happened, Giancarlo? You grew up just, raised a certain way, and then how did that happen? I mean, it should have been picture perfect. The difference is that I, as an adult, made the wrong choices, or I made the choice not to do what I grew up learning was done for me. See, I should have been the one leading the house in prayer, leading the house toward God. Sure, my ex-wife could have made her own decisions, that's fine, but maybe if I would have done those things at the beginning, divorce would have never even came as a subject. I'm not saying I'm not without, some faults and she without fault, and that's not what I mean, but spiritually speaking, I did not encompass my house of prayer the same way I was encompassed as a child. Now, fast forward, several years later, I found myself in a relationship with my current wife, Maribel. And we made the decision, because I really came to Christ in a much stronger way several years ago. We put God first at the very beginning. At a specific point where I started talking to her, I wasn't even looking for anybody. I was like, God, that's in your hands. I'm just going to serve you. Then she came along, and she ended up being a lot of the great things that I was really praying and hoping for. And God just showed off, and bam, there she was. Here we are. Fast forward a little more, now we're married. But what am I doing differently now? Well, Giancarlo, what I'm doing right now is I'm praying over my family the same way that I was prayed over when I was a kid. So my children hopefully experience something similar or better than what I experienced when I was a kid. Over the last several years, I've seen amazing growth in my children by putting a household filled with prayer, and that we share together and we talk about the Lord freely. They talk about the Lord freely with their friends, with the family. They ask questions. You ask, who's going to pray at the dinner table? And I say, all right, your turn to pray. They go do it. When it was me growing up, despite being surrounded by a house full of prayer, I didn't want to. I was like, tell her to pray or tell him to pray. There's 5 of us. It's got to be somebody else. Why am I the one getting stuck? That was me. But now my children are growing up in such a different environment where they're, okay, sure, let's go pray. Just 2 days ago, at the beginning of the 4th of July, we had some discussions about, what it means, about our independence as a nation and what we're thankful for because of those soldiers that died. We can have those conversations, which is amazing. Back in my day, I would have fallen asleep or done everything to avoid or cried, whatever. So my call to you is, you may not have had an uneventful, from an evil perspective, an uneventful testimony like mine growing up. Yours might have been more horrible than anything I could have described or could ever imagine. But what I am telling you is that despite where your past has been, your future can be very different if you put God first, if you fill your house with prayer. I'm not going to say it's not going to be without challenges. We all carry the baggage of our own decisions. And unfortunately, sometimes the decisions that were made on us. But with prayer, we can keep taking a step forward and fight through it, and God will be with you. God will be with every one of us if we just seek Him first. I would love that every one of you would have children that experience something like the childhood that I experienced. I realize that's not the reality for a whole lot of you, and that's okay. Don't be in condemnation because of what's already happened. Receive the conviction to do something about it so your future doesn't end up in the way that your past started. Fill your home with prayer. fill your home with song. And if you don't know where to start, I am more than happy to help any one of you. Let me know. If I have to help 1,000 people, one at a time, I'll do my best, or my wife will help me. I'll get one of my kids to help. If you're a teen, hey, that's where my son's at, an 18-year-old. If you're a woman, my wife will be listening to this as well, and she can help you. I can help any one of you. But just because I haven't gone through the same situation that you've gone through doesn't mean I can't be there for you. So be there for your family. Pray over your family. But again, if you don't know where to start, contact me, let me know. My email will be in the comments section or in the description of the video. Please let me know or comment on the video. I'll be more than happy to pray over any of you. I want more people to have the childhood that I had. I have fond memories of it. And I want your children to go through that. And if you're a teenager right now and you've had a rough childhood, let's turn it around together. This is Giancarlo with Jesus and Gamers. God bless you and have a great day. Hello, and God bless you. If you have enjoyed this broadcast and you wish for others to see this video, click the like button. It's directly below the video. If you would like to subscribe and be notified when a future broadcast come out, click on the subscribe icon here. If you would like to view other broadcasts, click on either of these two links here. God bless you and have a great day.